Okay, first things first, in the description of this video, there's the scenario. Give this scenario a go first, and then I'm going to do a solution for it. So, we have this scenario where we've got, this is a solution by the way. So I'm hoping you've given this a go first. If you haven't, pause the video, give it a go. So we've got two arrays. We've got patient and we've got readings. So I'm going to do that. Patient and readings. It tells us that patient will be of type string, so I'm guessing it'll be patient names inside of them. So let's go for Lucy, and let's go Jennifer. What about readings? Readings is going to be a 2D array, so I'm going to do this straight away. So we have different rows and columns. One of them is going to be temperature, and one of them is going to be pulse rate. Pulse rate is going to be a whole number. Temperature is going to be one decimal place. So like that, I guess. The hospital number given to the patient is used in next. Okay, so it's basically saying that Lucy is patient 1, Jennifer is patient 2, which means in here it needs to be in the same order. So Lucy has a temperature of 31.1 and her pulse reading is going to be, let's do 90. So that's Lucy. Nice and easy. Jennifer, let's do her made up data. So, Jennifer, sorry, I just dropped my phone. Jennifer has a pulse rate, temperature of 34.1. In fact, no, let's make it normal. And her pulse rate is going to be 90. And let's do another person. Let's do Cohen. Now, this made-up Cohen is going to have a pulse rate of 2.2 and a temperature of 5. Actually, it's just a whole number. 5. Cool. Now, when the data for a patient is checked, a warning is given if any of the readings are out. Fine. If both readings are out of range, a severe warning is given. What we need to do is write a program that does the following. Takes the hospital number, so the hospital number is the patient number basically. It says it here, the hospital number is given to the patient. So this will be hospital 1, hospital 2, Cohen will be hospital 3. So we need to write a program that first of all takes hospital number. Done. Checks to see if a number is valid. Well, if this person is hospital 1, this person's hospital ID 2, and this person's like patient ID or hospital ID 3, and we were to type in 4, it shouldn't be valid. It should say not allowed. So how can we do that? If hospital number is bigger than the length of patients, we're going to say print error not allowed. We do not have that many patients. I'm just going to make this zoom out slightly. Else, so let's imagine we type in hospital number 2, that should be Jennifer. So we want to output the person's name. So if they enter in hospital number 2, we're going to do print patient, the list. We're going to do then hospital number. Now remember what the problem is with this? If we type in hospital number 2, it's Jennifer, but really Jennifer lives in position 1. If we type in hospital number 3, it'll be Cohen, but he lives in position 2. So we need to, every time we have a hospital number, when we want to use it to find or look up the right person, we need to take away 1 from it. So it'll be like this. So if I do this, and we're going to do hospital number 2, it will say Jennifer. The next thing we want to do is output either normal, warning, or severe, based upon the data for, in this case, Jennifer. So if, and we're going to do readings this time, hospital number -1 to get the row. So we're dealing with, if I type in 2, remember, it would be -1, so it would be remember. So if I do this, I keep saying remember a lot, don't I? 0, position 1, position 2. I want to find Jennifer, so I type in hospital number 2, because she is number 2 in the list, but computers don't start on 2. They start on, say, they don't start on 1, they start on 0, so we want to take away 1, because otherwise it'll give us Colin and not Jennifer. And the same for this. 0, row 1, row 2. I want, if I type in hospital number 2, I want it to recognize it's Jennifer who we need, because we're going to do the -1. When it comes to the reading, we also want it to be this one as well. So that matches that. This is Jennifer's readings. So this will give us the correct row, which will be 2 - 1, which will be here. And then we need the correct column. So let's work with column 0 to begin with. And we want to see if that number is, what's the range? The temperature. 31.6 to 37.2. So we want to check to see if it's outside of the range. So outside the range would be below 31.6. So if it's less than 31.6, we've got a problem. And that's what we're checking for, if we've got a problem. And then I'm going to use OR. I'm then going to do the readings, hospital number, -1, column 0, because we've checked to see if it's below 31.6, we've got a problem. But also if it's above 37.2, we've got a problem. So this is going to check both. If one of them is screwed up, the if statement will run. So let's imagine we're checking this, and it says 31.1. It'll check it against this. Uh-oh, it is less than that. Because it's less than that and we're using an OR, it's automatically going to run whatever's inside this if statement. What is it that we want to do? Well, I'm going to make a variable called count. And every time there's a problem, I want count to go up by 1. So right now, we've just checked the temperature of the person. But the next thing we're going to do is check not their temperature, but their pulse rate. So if the readings, hospital, number -1, is less than, what's our range? Our range is 55, so it can't be less than 55. Or yep, I forgot to put the column over here, so we're dealing with column 1. And we're dealing with column 1 on this side as well. And if it's bigger than 100, we're also going to make count go up by 1. So let's play this through. I'm just going to get rid of this because it's not needing to be there. When we run our code, count starts on 0. We enter in our hospital number, let's say person 3. We want Cohen's information. What it'll do is it'll check to see if that's allowed. It is allowed. 3 isn't more than what we've got, so it'll run this. It'll then display Cohen's name because it'll do hospital number, which was 3, minus 1, which is 2, 0, 1, 2, and it'll display Cohen. We'll then check Cohen's temperature. If Cohen's got a low temperature, which he does, 2.2, it's below what we want, our boundaries, it's going to count that there's a problem. It'll then check the next column. So for him, it will be his pulse rate, which is in column 1. It'll check the minimum value to see if it's below that, and it will check to see if it's above the maximum value. His pulse rate is 5. Because it's 5, count will go up by 1 again, so he's below the temperature and he's below the pulse rate. So we've got 2 issues with Cohen. That is what this is wanting us to do. It's wanting us to check to see whether or not Cohen is normal, warning, or severe warnings. Normal would be that he's got no issues with temperature or pulse. So it will be if count equals 0, then it's normal. There'd be no issues. The count will only go up by 1 if there is an issue, i.e. his temperature is out of range. Elif count equals 1. So if there is one problem, it tells us here what that means. It means that one of the things are out of range. We're going to output a message saying warning. And finally, output severe warning. I don't know why it needs to output and the name. Oh, okay, let's go back to that. Okay, so we get output severe warning if it's 2. So for anything else, print severe warning for temp and for temperature and what's the other one? Pulse. Now it also wants us to recognize which one is causing the issue for this one, because it could be your temperature or it could be your pulse rate. So let's take this person. This person has an issue. Their pulse rate, actually sorry, their temperature is below, but their pulse rate is normal. So we want it to recognize which one screwed up. So this is what I'm going to do to make it a little bit more complicated. We're going to have a pulse rate check, and it's going to be 0. We're going to have our temperature check, which will be 0. So, if our temperature is out of range, so we've got a temperature, we want temperature to equal 1, which means it's a problem. 1 means a problem, 0 is not a problem. If it's a pulse rate issue, pulse rate will equal 1. This will stay 0 if that if statement doesn't actually run. That means we can actually change this. I'm going to make this slightly different now. There's different ways we can do this. I'm going to do it this way. So if pulse rate equals 1, we want to do something. If temperature equals 1, we want to do something. I'm going to make one more variable. I'm going to call it problem. I'm going to make it a string. So which one am I going to do now? If pulse rate's a problem, I'm going to do problem equals an issue is with the pulse rate. And I'm going to do this. Pulse rate equals, so problem equals problem plus that message. I'm going to do the same here. But for this time, an issue is with the temperature. I'm going to put a space here. And I'm going to put a full stop at the end. You're going to see what this does. When it comes to, we've got one warning and we want to work out which one it is. In fact, we don't need to do this bit, we can just do this. I'm making it a bit too complicated. There you go. I can just do that. And now I'm going to print problem. So it'll tell us which one was the issue. So if I do this, enter person 1, Lucy, a warning, and the issue is with her temperature, which is true. Lucy's temperature is below. So again, just to recap, what I did was I made 2 variables, one for temperature, one for pulse rate, and also made a problem variable. If it was a temperature issue, I made temperature turn to 1. If there's a pulse rate issue, I made that go to 1. At the end of the code, it will check to see if it's 1 or if it's still 0. It'll still be 0 if these ifs don't need to run, because there's no problem. If they are 1, it'll say this one is the problem, which is what we need to do, because it tells us that we need to detect which one's causing the problem. It also tells us to do the same for severe warning, but we don't need to do anything complicated for that, because a severe warning is if they're both 1, so we can just type it in there, because we know it's going to be both. There's no 3 different things we're recording. And there you go. This would be an extended scenario question.